Hey everyone, welcome to Stratele Studios. I'm Jeff Castanon. Welcome to another no pause video reaction and analysis. I've got Sarah Georges in the studio once again, and we are going to go over one from Anton Bruckner. This is Psalm 150 for orchestra and chorus. So let's get right into this. Thank you, Brian, for requesting this. For Classical Sunday. All right, let's hit that play button. Here we go.
Beethoven's fifth roars into action. Stay tuned. But before that, Bruckner's rousing Psalm 150. This year, we're marking 200 years since his birth. He was a contemporary of Brahms and a drinking buddy of Wagner. Seriously. Apparently, they got drunk together, and then Bruckner dedicated his symphony to him. How bizarre.
As far as he could remember. I think we need to say that.
Alcohol brings people together, clearly, Nikki.
It can do. It can do. Can also do the opposite.
I imagine that's not a good idea if you're about to play the violin.
I would never dream of it. Never dream of it.
Oh, my word. Well, Psalm 150 is Bruckner's last choral work, written 4 years before his death. And the BBC Singers, who are in their centenary year, and BBC Symphony Chorus have joined the orchestra and are about to show you what they're made of. It's a very, very warm welcome to also Sophie Bevan, who has successfully battled cancer this year and is back on stage. Tell us about the piece.
Well, Bruckner himself is such an unusual character and a deeply religious man, something that we know so much through his symphonic repertoire, but I think comes to an incredible celebration of essential praise. Now, I think we sometimes look at this music and wonder about its relevance to our time, but it's an inspiration to hear music of such devotion and such humility.
Okay.
Well, it's been called a cathedral of sound, hasn't it?
Oh, it's...
Indeed. And here they are to perform Psalm 150 by Bruckner. triumphant, gigantic. What an end. What a piece. Bruckner's Psalm 150. Elaine Chan conducting the BBC Symphony Orchestra. And the soloist, Sophie Bevan. And I have to say, Sandy, the trumpets had a workout.
Oh, wow. One of the, I mean, I can hardly speak, it's so amazing. You know about trumpeting, don't you, Clive? You know the
Oh
trumpeter?
my word, oh my word. Yes, I did play the Royal Fireworks music in the Bolton Youth Orchestra as a kid, and I played the trumpet,
Well,
as well as the violin. So
I
there
feel
you go.
We're required to hear that next year, definitely.
And if you want to hear more music like that, Bruckner's works across the season are being broadcast on BBC Radio 3, every prom live, and of course on BBC Sounds.
Well, I don't think I've seen a bigger orchestra in my life.
Yeah,
That was
choir. That was
oh
a
my
choir, too.
gosh. I mean, yeah, including the choir. That was epic. I mean, that was so huge. How do you write for something like that? I mean, that is mind blowing, you know, for one person to have written something like that and to have it fully realized with an orchestra and a choir of that size. I mean, I can't imagine what it sounded like in that place where they performed it. What were some of the standout things for you in this?
Okay, first of all, I love that they had a minority woman
Oh,
conducting
yeah,
it.
Yeah, right. Right.
In a world that's dominated
Yeah.
by white men.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Things that stood out for me, the fugue section. Okay, so it started out homophonically, so it was all all the parts singing together in different, like, kind of wide voicing. They're all singing the same thing at the same time, and then we go into the fugue section, where I can't remember if it was the basses or the tenors started first. I think it might have been the basses. One of the men's section started first, and they're starting their section, and then another group comes in,
Right.
and then they're going at different times. That's what a fugue is.
Right.
So there's kind of a theme that they're all singing at different times. And I love the chromaticism that was in there.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's,
yeah,
that was surprising.
there's like they were doing an octave jump.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then chromaticism. Especially for, I think, for that time period, that was in the late 1800s.
Wow.
I think Bruckner was kind of known for doing unexpected,
Innovative.
things like
Yeah.
that, and I really like that. And they all had it in there, and then when they came back together at the end of the fugue section, again, they all sang that together and it slowed down, and the chromaticism was there. That was really good. I like that.
Yeah, that again, I mean, the whole time I'm just I was so amazed by the choir and seeing all of the people that were there. And
Yeah.
it's like, besides enjoying the performance, for me, I also have a practical side to me when I'm watching something like this, and I'm thinking about the logistics of rehearsals. How can you get, everyone in the same place for a rehearsal? Obviously, not everyone can make it. I would guess there was probably rarely a time where every single person that we saw there was
Right.
present. I mean, it has to be like, okay, some people will show up on the Tuesday, and then on Thursday, other people show up, and then it's kind of, you get your rehearsal in wherever you can, and then the final performance, hopefully everyone who's not sick or can't make it, everybody shows up for the performance, and then that's when you get the full impact of everything. But
Right.
there's a lot of redundancy in the sections, plenty of cellos if somebody didn't make it, or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many independent parts that are in each section, if that would be missed if
Right.
somebody was not there. But it is mind blowing to think about the logistics of doing something like this. And where do you rehearse? I mean, you
Yeah.
have to rehearse in some huge
Concert hall.
concert hall.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, they're all professionals, so they probably
Good point.
they have to go home and learn their music
Yep.
and come prepared to play it.
Excellent point.
I would think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So not a lot of rehearsing. It's like you show up, the
Maybe.
music, and you come, and then you're like, okay, let's run through it. I mean, it's very possible. I mean, I don't know what else they performed that night.
Mm-hmm.
We saw one piece here. So
Mm-hmm.
what else did they perform? I don't know how long the program was,
Mm-hmm.
and how many times did they need to rehearse in order to do this whole
Right.
performance? But it is interesting to think about that, and it kind of reminds me, and just as a side note, something that you and I have talked about, which is in your high school choir, the challenge of having all of your high school kids in your choir to show up for the performances.
Yeah.
And it's because it's high school, you have people, your kids are showing up for the rehearsals because it's a normal school day.
Right.
So they show up for the rehearsals, and then usually the performances are in the evening or on the
Right.
weekend, like it was this weekend when we were
Mhm.
at this what's it called, Magic
Choral Magic at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's if you saw the quick little live video that we put up. We were there doing this choir competition, and I think about that. For these performances, you count on these people being there. You give parts to specific people in the
Mhm.
expecting that they're going to be
Mhm.
there. And I know that you've had times where you didn't have a lot of altos, for example,
Mhm.
and then like some of them don't show up, so then you end up having like a couple, one or two.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be difficult because, especially with teenagers, because they just don't, they're learning how important it is to support the rest of the group, and they don't, they're very egocentric at that age.
Yeah.
They don't understand how their absence will affect the rest of the group. So
Right.
I think with adults, it's usually a little better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I've been in a situation where, and when I voice my choir, I place them in specific spots.
Mhm.
So where they're standing next to people where they sound good. So I make it so that each section blends.
Right.
Certain people need to stand in certain rows and next to certain people, and
Right.
and so when people don't show up, it throws everything off, and then I have
Yep.
to move people around.
Yeah.
So and that happened yesterday.
Which I saw you do that
We
yesterday.
got onto the stage, and there were they had less risers than they usually do. So
Yeah.
I had all my kids crammed up there in these risers, and I had to really quick say, okay, you move down, you move down, you move down. And it's because I knew their voices, where I needed to move people. I just really quick had to make 4 rows out of 3 rows that they're normally in.
Right.
And I think it turned out okay.
Yeah, and one of the added challenges to this for Sarah is that they're entering into a competition with other schools who have seasoned singers, because with other schools, these kids have already had prior singing experience, music lessons, but her kids are coming in without any prior education of music, and so she's getting them really, really fresh, and they're competing with schools that are very experienced, and that can be a little disheartening at the end of the day, because obviously Sarah's choir, they're not coming in first, and but the wonderful thing is that you prepare them ahead of time and let them know, here's the situation. Look, you're competing with these kids who have tons of experience, and don't walk in thinking that you're in competition with them. This is about you being in competition with yourselves and getting better and getting experience in a big auditorium with professional judges, because they were professional judges that were critiquing them, and just get that experience in, and I think you do a great job of doing that, preparing them for the experience, and they all come out of it feeling triumphant, in spite of the fact that they may not be coming in and placing in the higher ranks. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, we had a great day. It was a lot of fun, and just try to manage their expectations from the beginning. And when we go back to school tomorrow, we'll just talk it over and tell them how impressed I was with them. And these are kids that, like you said, they haven't had music. They've been doing music now for 2 months. The majority of them,
2 months.
Probably 80% of the choir are brand new to music at all. And so because we live in an area where they don't have music here, like in the elementary schools. Like I'm from Arizona, and I used to teach general music, elementary school age, and they start in kindergarten. They have music all the time, and here they just don't have that. So
it is nice though. You had 2 soloists come out, and they had just a short little thing that they did, but still to give them that confidence to walk out in front. And I really enjoyed seeing that, because the 2 young ladies that came out, they weren't shy about it. They came out and they did a great job, and I loved seeing that, because that's scary, folks. I mean, that really is scary. And these high school kids are just embracing the opportunity, and I love seeing that kind of thing. I think
and we had 2 percussionists too. So 2 of my kids,
that's
one of which just stepped up at the last minute when one of my other kids apparently got suspended. So
that happens.
Didn't show up. So those things happen too. So he stepped in and said, "I'll do it." So he, practiced with us that morning, and
very impressed by that young man. He stood up and said, "I'll do it." He he didn't practice that before.
He had tried it one time.
Oh, he tried it
one time. Yeah, he tried it one time, and
so but he did very well. Yeah, he did a good job, and really stepped up, and I applaud him for that. I think the big...
I would say too, that's a kid on the football team, so he's like he's doing lots of things. So I love that my kids are so well-rounded.
That's so good.
Our kids do a lot of different things. So
that's awesome.
It is awesome.
I think the most challenging part of the day was actually after the competition, when it was Magic Mountain's Fright Fest, and a few of the young ladies were petrified of going out into the park, because there were roaming demons and zombies and dead pirates and all kinds of stuff going on, running through the park. And at one point, and because we weren't leaving, because the bus was showing up at a certain time in 9.
Yeah, everything's planned.
Yeah, everything's planned.
Everything's on a schedule.
But we didn't really realize that this was going to be a problem. So Sarah and I had gone to the first aid station, and we're like, is there a safe place, or maybe a hand gesture or a lanyard that they could? But nope. They're subject to Fright Fest. So at one point towards the end of the night, this was great. We were sitting out by the funnel cake, which is one of our favorite hangouts, and this decrepit zombie pirate came out of nowhere, and we saw him coming up, and he jumps up on the planter and starts coming after the one kid who had been hanging out with us the whole night. We were protecting her the whole night. Went right for this kid, of course, and started to freak her out. And then immediately Mama Bear, so hey, knock it off. Don't harass her.
Don't mess with that kid.
Yeah, don't mess with that kid. And he was like, huh? Still keeping in character. He quipped back a couple of things, and you didn't back down.
Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
And then he saw me eating the funnel cake. It must be diabetes.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yep, you're right.
He said, it must be diabetes as we're eating a chocolate funnel cake. And and then he said, you said, oh yeah, I'm her teacher. And then he goes, oh, okay. So then he ended up walking away. But it all had a happy ending because Sarah caught him alone and went up and said, hey, I'm sorry I got a little bit in your face on this. And he was still staying in character. Well, that's all right.
I pity your situation.
Yeah.
It is the worst.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was a good night. I took some really cool pictures of some of the decorations there. Maybe I'll post that at the end. Anyway, yes. Just to wrap things up.
Story very long.
Yeah, sorry about that, but this whole thing kind of happened recently. But the one thing I wanted to add about Anton Bruckner, which I'm curious about, I don't know if you know much about him, but one of the things I was curious about was, are his other compositions like this? Is this typical of Anton Bruckner, where he is writing in such an epic manner with so big of an orchestra and a choir? Does he, is he known for that? Does he do other things? I don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, I don't actually know a lot about him
Yeah.
either. I know he's Austrian. I know that he was an organist too, and I know that he wrote other cantatas. I know that this was commissioned for a music festival.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I know that he considered it one of his best.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome. Oh, very cool. Well, Brian, thank you so much. Yeah, let me know what you all thought about this. And yeah, I'd like to read your comments. And Sarah, thank you as usual. I love doing these with you because, you definitely bring some experience to these videos. And I learned something from you a lot of times. So thank you so much. Come back for more cool stuff. We'll see you next time.
Bye.